Moi everyone and welcome to Finish Your Plate. A couple of days ago there was a very important holiday, which is the Saint Urhos Day. Of course, Saint Urho is not at all known in Finland. It's a completely American thing, but it does exist. And it coincides with another holiday, maybe a little bit less known, which is the St. Patrick's Day, which is today. So I figured I'll make some fusion Finnish Irish beef stew with some St. Patrick's Day corned beef, some Finnish type of soup vegetables, and of course some Finnish rye bread. So join me and I'll show you how to make this fusion dish. So here in the US, around St. Patrick's Day, you can pick up these corned beef briskets at the stores for pretty cheap. So I figured, let me use this to make a beef stew. Corned beef brisket is basically a brisket that has been treated with salt and tenderizing agents so that it's going to be very tender, so it doesn't have the toughness that brisket usually has. I also have here the usual soup vegetables that I put in pretty much any Finnish soup. I have some onion, I have some potatoes, carrot, celeriac. If you remember, celeriac is the root part of celery and it has a pretty strong celery flavor. I have here some rutabaga and also some parsnip. So I'm just going to prep all these vegetables, cut them into smaller pieces. But also what I'm going to do is I'm going to prep my corned beef brisket. I'm going to drain all the liquid. There's a little bit of that brine that they use in here, which makes the corned beef a little bit slimy on the outside. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to rinse all that off and then pat it dry, cut it into smaller pieces, cubes, and then I'm going to fry it on my pan over here. We need to pat it dry so this way we get a little bit of that browning. If you leave the liquid on, the liquid's just going to boil and the meat's going to steam. It'll be okay, but the browning will give a little bit better flavor. Before I prep my corned beef brisket, let me show you what it looks like. There's always in here a spice packet together with the meat that looks like this. We're not going to use it this time. So here, I don't know if you can see, but this is covered in this pretty viscous gelatinous liquid. So we're just going to rinse all that off and then we're going to pat this piece of meat down so it's dry. And here we go. Here's the brisket now. It actually took a little bit of effort to get that brine off of it, but eventually it'll dissolve off. So let's just dry it up a little. So let's take this piece of meat and let's cut it into cubes. There are two methods of tenderizing meat. There's a chemical tenderization where you can use tenderizing salts to break down the collagen tissue in the meat. There's also mechanical tenderizing, which is more often you might know it from when you take a piece of pork, for example, and you use a meat tenderizer mallet to pound it down. That's mechanical tenderization. Both methods can be used to tenderize a piece of meat like this. I think that this has been also mechanically tenderized because I can see that the meat strands have been physically separated. And while this is heating up, I'm going to prep my vegetables. Now my pot is super hot. I'm just going to add a little bit of oil on the bottom and throw in a couple pieces of the brisket. We'll fry these up in maybe 2 batches. Okay, now this batch is ready. I put a little bit too much in this batch, so I didn't get quite as much of the browning as I would have wanted, but that's fine. We'll make do. And now we'll just add our vegetables. I'm just going to separate the onions just a little bit. There we go. And now we'll put our other vegetables in. And the potatoes. We'll put a couple of bay leaves in here. And of course some allspice. We'll add just a little bit of salt. The meat is pretty salty, but we are also adding a lot of the other ingredients in here, so it might need a little salt. And some black pepper. I have here some beef broth, bouillon mix, and we're going to pour it in. And now we're going to layer the beef on top, like that. And I'm going to put the lid on. I'm going to put this in the oven, 200 degrees Celsius, about 400 Fahrenheit, maybe about 30-45 minutes. Now our lihapata is out of the oven. Let's open it up. Let's give it a taste. If it's too salty, add water. If it's not salty enough, add salt. I think it's maybe just a little too salty, so I'm just going to add a touch of water. There we go. There we go. I'll add, let's not forget the carrots. Let's get a piece of carrot in there. For St. Patrick's Day, let's add a little bit of green. Let's add some parsley on top. There we go. And of course, as always, Finnish soup, you have to have freshly baked rye bread with it. And here we go. Irish Finnish beef stew. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on Finish Your Plate.